I've definitely noticed about hardships and adversity is when you give it attention. And when you give that attention, it kind of does act like a little snake, doesn't it? It acts like a little leech and it just kind of leeches on you. And then you start realizing, wait a second, if I stop paying attention to it, won't be around anymore. So the whole trick that I've learned about being a Christian and stuff is not giving any attention to the adversity. It's really and then all you're left with is the joy and stuff. And it took me some time trying to figure this one out because when you come up against adversity, one thing that you think about is like, well, why? And you try to answer all these questions like it makes no tactical sense until you realize, well, that's what evil does. It always tries to like one up and it thinks it's in competitions and stuff with you, and it does it. It does. Every exorcist and all these people will tell you that one of the tricks that it does is it tries to pull you into these fights. And the trick is not to be pulled into that fight, but rather to ignore it. And then you start noticing that you become happy as a Christian. You start noticing that your happiness and stuff starts coming on a lot more, and you start noticing that joy, and you stop worrying about all the trivial stuff because you're no longer focused on the adversity. And I think this is important because obviously, if you're trying to focus on jobs and you're trying to focus on doing what's right, then it would make sense, therefore, to stay away from any kind of adversity or getting into a fight and then focusing away from that fight. You'll probably run into people who like say nasty things about you, or maybe they'll mock your faith, or there will be some kind of an effort used to draw you into these ridiculous fights, and you're just like, nah, I'm not interested. Same thing with relationships. You see what's going on out there, and then you realize like a lot of the adversity is anxious. It's anxiety based, and then people trying to figure out, well, what do I do here? What do I do there? Rather than focusing on the goal, and that goal is figuring out that on the other side of that adversity, evil is Jesus Christ. Yeah, and then everything starts changing, doesn't it? Yeah, it does, and you can see it too. You know, there's a brother on here who say just exists, bro. Kind of agree with him, but I think he's lacking one thing. He's lacking the fact that if you give the adversity attention, then I could see where he's correlating that. But if you don't have another outcome of like, well, what do you focus on? Because it just can't be some subjective, arbitrary thing. And then you start putting the pieces together, and then you start realizing, oh, yeah. So I'd have to say that in all of this, that's really what the driver is that too much emphasis on worried about what that dude over there is doing rather than just focusing on what's going on over here. Therefore, the adversity no longer is taking control, but it rather it becomes nullified, ambiguous, no longer even meaningful. And it took some time trying to figure that out. I have to admit, it takes some time trying to figure out how to overcome these basic facts and of why we look at adversity and turning the cheek and doing these things as Christian is so essential to the faith. Now I finally get it. And I could finally get this out there to people so they get it too. Because it took some time. It really did. And yeah, now that I understand, now I know how to get the victory. And that's the whole point of what Christ was doing. He wants us to be happy. He doesn't want us caught up in conflicts and getting in all these fights or getting anxious or feeling all these ridiculous things that the adversity or the adversary wants to get you into these adversities or get you into these fights that you're not even supposed to be in. You're supposed to just reject it and then move on. We know that fear is of evil, and if you're feeling that kind of thing coming at you, then you know that basically, yeah, that's not good. That has nothing to do with good. So yeah, reject it, cast it out, and then you'll be much happier.